Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button as we're now on the road to 400 subscribers here on the YouTube channel. If you love sports news, sports betting, special segments, daily uploads, updated rankings every single week, my reactions, anything at all, it's all right here on the Talk of the Town podcast. So I promise you, your subscription will be well worth it and much, much appreciated. And speaking of special segments here today, we have Top 10 Tuesday, where at the end of every NFL week, I re-ranked the top 10 teams and quarterbacks heading into the next NFL week. And this was a week and weekend full of blowouts, or at least on the verge of blowouts. There was only one-score game this weekend. If you noticed, I did not upload a video yesterday where I usually react to all of the games from Sunday slate, including doing a little prediction of Monday Night Football as well. Had a little bit of a busy day yesterday, kind of thrown off. I didn't end up putting a video up. I did end up getting a short up, but I actually said Chiefs plus 11.5. I meant to say Commanders plus 11 or minus 11.5. And I got all thrown off. So my day was just all thrown off yesterday. Didn't end up getting a full-length video out, but trust me, I'll make sure to make it up to you guys. But here we are today on Top 10 Tuesday. And let's get into it here. Let's start off with the Commanders and Chiefs Monday Night Football game last night. I thought, at least the first half, what was it, 7-7 going into halftime. Mahomes had a couple of interceptions. Mariota and the Commanders had a couple opportunities to go down and score out the field, but they missed on some fourth downs. Just kind of all over the place the first half, really, with both of these teams. Travis Kelce, who I actually thought played a really good game last night for the most part. I think it was towards the end of the first quarter, maybe it was in the early second quarter. It was in the first half. He had a horrible drop that led to Mahomes' second interception. I'm pretty sure it was on their second drive of the game. I remember the announcers saying, I think it was Joe Buck said that was the first time in Mahomes' career on the first two drives of the game, he threw an interception. So I'm assuming it was in the first quarter still. But anyway, that was a horrible drop. I thought right then and there, I was like, God, Travis Kelce looks washed. He has his moments. There's no doubt about it. I mean, after that drop, which led to a pick, he was on fire the rest of the game, really. And the thing is with the Chiefs is now with Rice back, Worthy healthy, Pacheco and Hunt, I still are kind of a mid-tier running back duo. I think they're in the market for trading for a running back coming up here to the deadline. Breece Hall's been in talks now for weeks, so we'll see. I do think they could use a little bit of an upgrade in the running back room. I do like Pacheco. I do like Hunt, but they are missing explosiveness at the running back position. There's no doubt about that with the Chiefs. I think they would definitely like a little bit more of an explosive runner in the backfield to really break off a 30, 40, 50-yard run every now and then. They just don't really have that. I think Pacheco and Hunt are great. You know, if you need a yard or two, if you're within 5 yards of the end zone, you just give it to those guys two or three times, and you should be able to get a touchdown. But unfortunately, if you're trying to go the length of the field and you're starting at the other 20, Pacheco and Hunt necessarily aren't ideal, I guess, unless you're on a 2nd and 1, a 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, whatever it is. Those guys aren't necessarily ideal. Pacheco had that injury a few years ago with his leg. I don't know if it's like his fibula or I forget what it was, but he had a leg injury, and he has not been the same since. Now, I'm not necessarily trying to bash him or anything, but I'm just saying Chiefs, I think could still use a little bit of an upgrade at the running back position, but they're getting the running backs healthy. Mahomes, to me, is playing some of the best football of his career. Now, in terms of his explosive throws, the throws he used to make back, 6 years ago or so, he still does make them, but I guess on a more consistent basis of the on-the-run, wacky arm angle throws, 60-yard bombs down the field. That's not really his play style as much anymore. Of course, we know he can still do it, and that's what he's known for doing. Kind of really what he started was that. He was kind of the originator of that. I mean, of course, they used to do it before, but he became really famous for it, and he's become one of the best quarterbacks ever for it. I feel like he's really become a seriously good game manager. He's always been a good game manager, but I feel like now, in terms of him being comfortable in the pocket and being able to really just pick apart teams at will. I feel like he's better at that now than he's ever been, and that's why I feel like he's leading in the MVP campaign. As much as it drives people crazy, the Chiefs do with Mahomes and Kelsey and just having the dynasty in general, and you throw in the Taylor Swift thing, like that shit drives people nuts. I'm not saying it drives me nuts, but I'm just saying in the media, like you have one side who absolutely loves it, and a majority of them are Chiefs fans. And you have the other side that just drives them crazy. But I mean, as I mentioned, Mahomes is, I think we can all admit, whether or not you can't stand him or whatever, he's playing some of the best football of his career. Now, I have to see this morning whether or not he's still leading in the MVP conversation, especially after those 2 interceptions he had. I'd be kind of curious. Especially Drake May came off a good week. You know, I mean, that MVP race is tight. Josh Allen had a really good outing against the Panthers as well. So I'd be curious about that. But the Chiefs are here. And this is the thing that's kind of scary about the AFC is like people, of course, they're never going to forget about the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs are always there. But in terms of they're still talking, or the media is talking about how, you know, who is the legitimate AFC contender? Well, people are saying, hey, the Patriots are probably that team. The Colts right now, 7-1. But when people talk about the Colts, they talk about their week schedule. When people talk about the Patriots, they talk about their week schedule. The Bills, you know, people are talking about the Bills more than the Chiefs in terms of being legit contenders. And I feel like the Chiefs aren't getting enough talk, which I feel like that kind of puts the Chiefs in more of a dangerous position. They're almost kind of a sneakily good team right now in the AFC. I mean, they did have a really slow start, but I mean that feels like forever ago at this point. I mean, what streak are they on now? They have 5 wins. What are they, like a 3 or 4 game win streak right now? They're just rolling. I mean, they got guys healthy, and mind you, they did that without Trey Smith. He's missed like 2 games in 5 years or something. And their offensive tackle Simmons, they drafted in the offseason or in the draft this year, hasn't played in a few games. He's been dealing with some personal issues, but apparently he's back on track to play. They did it without those guys. I mean, they are just rolling right now. And with Rice coming back, he looks just as explosive as ever. One of the concerns I had about Rashee Rice coming back is like, I mean, this guy suffered a pretty major injury, and he had some pretty serious off the field issues for the last couple of years or so. So I'm like, is this guy's is his mindset going to be in the right place anyway? Like, is he going to come back and be able to be the same player he was a few years ago? But we haven't seen this guy in quite a bit of time, and he hasn't lost a step or anything. He has just makes this offense explosive. Tyquan Thornton's broken out for this team. Smith-Schuster, Mahomes makes him seem like he was years ago in the Steelers. So, you know, and again, it all comes back down to quarterback play. Mahomes is playing some of the best football of his career. As I mentioned earlier, in terms of playing kind of a game manager role, a game manager position, I feel like he's doing that the best he's ever done. Again, he's always done it greatly, of course. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I think in terms of picking apart defenses, especially from sitting in the pocket and not necessarily having to play the hero ball role, he's definitely, I think so far, this is the best year of his career at it so far. Because he's not going to throw for, 50 touchdowns. He may finish around, probably in the mid-30s or so at best, maybe high 30s, but he's not going to have that year he had years ago with 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. He's not going to have that year, but he's going to have a year where he is picking apart teams at will, making great decisions, and not necessarily having to make some crazy on-the-run throw out to his right 50 yards down the field to whoever. Xavier Worthy used to be Tyreek Hill for years. That's just not necessarily their game anymore. And that's the one thing I noticed with Kansas City and their offense is that the way they operate their offense is very simple. And Andy Reid just plays. He doesn't play to blow out teams by 40 points, and that's what I feel like a lot of these coaches do. Is they go for the gut punch, or not the gut punch, the knockout punch. They go for the gusto. They go for it all. They go to beat teams by 30, 40 points. They don't want to play in games that are close down to the wire games. And last night wasn't a close down to the wire game. Would have finished 28-7. But Kansas City pounds the rock. They try to ask as little as Mahomes as possible. They just play simple ball. They play kind of like how the Patriots did for years. And this year kind of reminds me of what the Patriots had years ago when they actually lost to Kansas City. I don't know if you remember. I think they started off like 2-2, 2-3, or something like that with Brady. They were talking about benching Brady, starting Garoppolo, and the whole thing was just kind of starting to go in weird directions. And Bill Belichick had a pretty funny interview talking about how, or someone asked him, is it time to bench Tom Brady and put in Garoppolo? And he just sat there and just laughed like, no, dude, absolutely not. I can't quote him word for word exactly, but it was a pretty funny response. He was just like, dude, are you serious right now? So it's kind of reminded me of that year a little bit. Like everyone was kind of counting him out, and now all of a sudden, and they kind of were counting him out all year. People were talking about Denver at that time. People were talking about Denver now. And just really about anyone else, and kind of just assumed the Patriots dynasty was over. I forget what year that was. I think that was actually the year they went and beat Seattle in the Super Bowl, and they went on and obviously had another run for about another 5 years or so. Now, whether or not Kansas City's trajectory works out to be exactly that way or similar, we all have no idea. We don't know what the next 5 years is going to look like, but this year feels very similar to that year the Patriots had 2014 when they went and beat the Seahawks in the Super Bowl and had that really weird start, slow start, to be honest with you. And that's where I feel like the Chiefs are at. And that's a pretty dangerous position. It's actually good for them, but for everyone else in the AFC, that's a bad spot to be in when everyone is putting the pressure on you and kind of forgetting about Kansas City in a sense. I mean, no one's forgetting about them, but in terms of being talked about with the top dogs in the AFC, they're there, but they're not. Everyone wants to move off of the Chiefs so bad and try and changing the narrative because that's all it's been the last 7 years or so is Chiefs, Chiefs, Chiefs. Now we all kind of seen an opportunity to be able to move off of that narrative and say, hey, this is the Bills year. Is this the Patriots year coming from behind? This is the Broncos year, the Chargers, whoever. Baltimore's still in the mix to me. They're only a couple games out of the AFC North at this point, but whomever. And now everyone's trying to push off of the Chiefs, and here they are. They've arrived, and Kelsey, while he still looks old, and he is getting old, having Rice, Worthy, Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton playing well, these guys open up massive holes for Kelsey. Kelsey's not going to be able to get open on his own as much as he used to. He's not nearly as quick, as agile as he used to be at the tight end position in terms of getting open and making yards after the catch. But the team around them is really helping him out a lot and takes a lot of pressure off of him. So we're going to start seeing a lot more big plays from Kelsey, Mahomes, and that offense is opening up, and the Chiefs are looking scary. In terms of the Commanders, though, we're going to talk a little bit about them as well. It's not all Chiefs here. Look, the Commanders are dealing with a ton of injuries now. What are they, 3-5, something like that? I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to make an early prediction here. I think the Commanders are going to fall short of the playoffs. We don't know when Jane Daniels is going to come back. Are they even going to rush him back at this point? It's not even just this injury he suffered against the Cowboys game, which is why was out yesterday against the Chiefs. He was out for a little while with a leg or a knee injury before that for a couple of weeks. I almost think it's better for the Commanders to just let him heal, to be honest with you. The Commanders are a really weird team. I think they are. It's kind of a weird comparison, but you kind of feel like Pittsburgh, but just with a younger franchise quarterback. Like their roster is one of the older rosters in the league. Now, in terms of how they operate is completely different. Like Pittsburgh is trying to hold on to any sort of Super Bowl hope they have. Like the Commanders are kind of new to this. Starting last year, they made the NFC Championship. They have a lot of vets. For a rebuilding team, having one of the oldest rosters in the league is just very strange. I don't really necessarily know how they move on from there. But Bobby Wagner had I think he had that interception off of Kelsey's hands last night. But besides that, especially in coverage, he's become a serious liability. We seen it last night in that Commanders game. Like nothing but respect for Bobby Wagner. He's a Hall of Famer. One of the best linebackers of this generation. I mean, he is an all-time talent. A lot of great years on Seattle. I forgot he went to the Rams for a little bit. I don't really think he did much there, but on the Commanders, I mean, last year he had a really good year. But in terms of being in coverage, he's a serious liability. Like, he was kind of seen as like, hey, this guy can play in coverage. He makes a shit ton of tackles. He was just great. I mean, as I mentioned, he's a Hall of Famer. A lot of really great years with Seattle. But if I'm him, I might be looking to hang up the cleats a little bit. I know he had that pick last night. That wasn't, that was more Kelsey's doing than Bobby Wagner's doing. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but still, though, I just, guys like that for the Commanders. Austin Eckler, who's now, I mean, he's been out for the year since the beginning of the year this year. Even last year, he wasn't very good. He's not very good when he plays anyway. I think they're just holding on to some dead wood. I think the Debo trade, I kind of expect a little bit more out of. He just looks older every year he is getting older, but he's just not nearly as effective as I thought he'd be, to be honest with you. I thought he'd be a lot better than he was. In fairness, McLaurin's been injured. Like, they've been dealing with injuries, but even still, he just hasn't been great. I mean, he had a good first couple of weeks, but I don't know. I guess we all kind of expect a little bit more out of that trade, and more out of the Commanders, really. But again, they're dealing with a lot of injuries themselves. Going from Jaden Daniels to Marcus Mariota is a pretty significant drop off. Then having McLaurin out for weeks, and you just signed him to a massive deal. I mean, even McLaurin's kind of getting older. I mean, I am a full-on advocate for them signing Terry McLaurin for what, 3-4 years, however long they signed him. I'm a full advocate for that. He was a massive part in Jaden Daniels' development. I'm not hating on that whatsoever. I'm not even hating on the Debo trade. I like the trade. I thought it was a really good idea to pair them up. You had a little bit of versatility in your offense with Cliff Kingsbury calling it. Speaking of Cliff Kingsbury, I will say his play calling to me is very questionable. I've been very on the fence with Cliff Kingsbury, even back to his Arizona days. I mean, even the college football, all that. Like, long time, Cliff Kingsbury has been a big question mark for me. And this is where I mentioned the Chiefs' play calling is they have some of the best play calling in the league, of course, under Andy Reid. They're not looking for the knockout punch. Like, they're looking to just slowly just chip you away. Where the Commanders, I feel like, no matter whether it's Mariota now in there, they're going for the knockout punch. And I get playing an Arrowhead, going against Kansas City. You're trying to really put it on them, put your foot on the pedal. But to me, the formula for beating Kansas City and Arrowhead isn't necessarily trying to get in a shootout with them. It's trying to keep Mahomes off of the field. Well, he had multiple instances last night where they're 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. I mean, they had multiple instances at where they ran the ball. They got like 7, 8, 9 yards on a carry. And it's like, dude, just keep running the rock. Like, you're 2nd and 1, 2nd and 2, 2nd and 3. And he goes out there and he's throwing deep bombs down the field for 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. And then they're stuck in 4th and 1 and don't get it. Like, they had a 4th and 1 yesterday. And he just launches some deep ball down the field. Like, that's the play call. It's like, bro, run the ball. You keep putting Mahomes on the field, stopping the clock, missing passes, and just missing opportunities to score. That's where I feel like a lot of teams miss out on beating Kansas City. And the Commanders did it last night. Like, a lot of teams get in their head of like, hey, we've got to just go in and score touchdowns. Screw running the ball, screw this. We got to go all in. It's like, no, run the ball. You're chipping away. You're keeping Mahomes off the field. And if anything, when you bring them on the field, you start taking away their game plan. If you go up by 14 points, I think regardless, Kansas City's going to have a hard time catching up. Like, I do like their offense. I do like their weapons, but Kansas City's play style is they're going to run the ball, get in 2nd and medium, 3rd and short, and Mahomes is going to throw some 5-6 yard pass for a first down. If you can take that element away, then you have a formula for beating the Chiefs. And I just think the Commanders last night, I mean, I think, again, they had a lot of injuries. So when you start Mariota, you're already at a serious disadvantage anyway. But giving yourself the best chance, that play calling doesn't give you any sort of best chance to win the game. I think Cliff Kingsbury is always going for the knockout punch. I do. And I think the Commanders running back room anyway, even though I actually thought they weren't too bad last night. One of my predictions at the beginning of the season was their running back room is extremely questionable. I thought they should have went and got another running back because it's forcing Jaden Daniels to throw a lot more. And Jaden Daniels loves to scramble and run out. And you're seeing he's getting a lot of injuries now. He's had a lot of injuries this season with I'd say a weak running back for him. People love hyping up Krosky Merritt. Whether or not you think how good he is, it's completely up to you. But Krosky Merritt on most teams is a backup running back. I mean, we're trying to hype up this guy as like, hey, this guy's a legitimate starting running back in the NFL. And, he can start, but he's not a quality starter in the league. Like, he needs a better support system behind him. When teams have good running backs, it makes a difference. And I know I mentioned about the Chiefs running back room being not all so great. And I think they're definitely in the market for trading for a running back. I mean, they definitely are. I've seen they made calls, but when you have Mahomes, I'm not taking anything away from Jay Daniels, but Jay Daniels is very slim. So he's a slender guy who likes to run. And he takes a lot of meetings. So it was different having Mahomes back there who, isn't necessarily Josh Allen or Cam Newton and go back there and take a bunch of hits. And even still, I mean, their careers are not theirs because Josh Allen's hasn't, but Cam Newton's career got derailed by injuries because he got hit so much. And he's as big as a freaking linebacker. So, they've really got to put a little bit better of a support system and better play calling for Jay Daniels. That's why I'm very, and not just for Jay Daniels, but for the Commanders in general. Cliff, they've got to put him in a better position to win there. And that's what I thought last night as well. So, yeah, and I think McLaurin ended up having to come out. He had the same injury he's been dealing with. It feels like everything's trending in the wrong direction for the Commanders. And they're falling in a hole, and the Eagles are only going to take a bigger lead in the NFC East as it is anyway. So, tough game there for the Commanders last night in Arrowhead. I made it short last night. I had to end up deleting because I ended up saying Chiefs. I think I mentioned it earlier in the video. I said Chiefs plus 11.5, and I was completely off. So, or not. I said, yeah, Chiefs plus 11.5, and that's not what I meant. I meant like Commanders, the Chiefs winning by at least 11.5 points, whatever it is. I completely screwed that up. But yeah, man, I thought Chiefs big win. They want to stay in the AFC West race, at least in the playoff race, and they're in it, and they're sneakily good, scary. So yeah, let's get into top 10 Tuesday here today. We're gonna start off with the top 10 teams per usual. A lot of teams on bye weeks this week, especially here in the top 10. So this is actually probably going to fly by pretty quickly. There's a lot of teams that were on bye weeks, and including a lot of the teams that are in the top 10, their quarterback is also in the top 10 quarterbacks as well. So this is probably going to fly by here today, but we'll see here. Honorable mentions, I have the Seahawks. They were in the top 10. Now, I mentioned I will never drop a team out of the top 10 and in the honorable mention spot on a bye week. Same goes with quarterbacks, but if I have to move them down the list, especially when a team has a really good performance, I have to do what I have to do. Now, as I mentioned, I won't move them out of the top 10 or in the honorable mention spot, but it all catches back up to itself. I mean, by the end of the season, no teams will have bye weeks anymore, and everyone will be caught up. So as long as, again, it would get really weird if I were to move the Seahawks. I think they were at 10 or 9 last week. If I moved them to like number 14 or something, then it would get really weird. But as long as I keep them within the top 10 range and don't move really any new teams in there on a bye week, it will all work itself out. So that's how I rank mine. I got them on the honorable mention spot here today. Not too much to talk about. They were on a bye week this week, but they've been rolling, coming off a really good win against the Texans on a double header on Monday Night Football last week, and they're well rested. And I can't remember who they go against this week, but they should be able to compete really well. Number 10, I have the Buffalo Bills. Big win against the Carolina Panthers. I was going to move them up a little higher, but all of these teams had bye weeks or they all won. So you can't really move them up much higher. From a lot of these teams, let's say even 3 teams lost in the top 10 this week. The Bills have moved up a pretty significant amount, but the Panthers with no Bryce Young, the Panthers are really good at home, but they were just tearing Andy Dalton alive. Andy Dalton really needs to think about hanging up the cleats. And James Cook with a career day, he had over like 200 yards, I think, or something like that. The Bills and Panthers bet slip for my slips for Sundays hit by a mile. I mean, that was one of my best bets of the year right there. And I really thought the Bills were going to come in, kick ass, and that's exactly what they did. And I think Panthers fans now realize, like, hey, Bryce Young's our guy. Without Bryce Young, we do not look very good at all. And I even think if they did have Bryce Young on Sunday, they most likely would have ended up losing that game, but it would have been like 40-10, or I mean, they got their ass kicked. I mean, it wasn't even close. And the Bills end up moving up in the top 10. I think they were the honorable mention last week, but as I mentioned, all these teams won or were on a bye week. And I ended up moving them over the Seahawks because I really like the way the Bills played. But they did play a Panthers team who I think is considerably worse than the Bills, even though they are now at 500. But coming in that game, they were over 500. But no Bryce Young or anything. That's rough. Number 9, the Eagles, coming off of a really good win against the Giants. I think that offense actually played a lot better without A.J. Brown. A lot of people kind of saying that, like, hey, they should just ship him off. The diva mentality holds that offense back. And then a lot of Eagles fans don't agree as well of, like, why would we trade this guy? He's our best player. Or one of our best players, probably behind Saquon and whatever it is, but or whoever. But the Eagles, the Giants, I mean, the Giants just got plagued by injuries against the Eagles. It was Scatterboo went down. We've seen the team's reactions. Was pretty horrible, gruesome injury as well. I don't know if you guys seen the pictures of it. I don't suggest looking at it if you can't handle it, but it was a really bad injury. Prayers up for Scat. That was a brutal injury there. But the Eagles, coming off of a really good win, a statement win as well. If they would have got upset to the Giants again, that would have been pretty ugly. And then the Cowboys coming off of a loss, Giants lose, Commanders lose. The Eagles are starting to take a pretty commanding lead in that division now, and I think it's only up from there with that team. Even when, here's the thing with the Eagles is when they're off their game, they're still in close games, or they still end up winning the game. So, I mean, I have to give them credit where it's due, but I still think something's a little off for the Eagles. The Saquon injury worries me a little bit. The offensive line injuries worry me a little bit. And the whole thing with A.J. Brown going on, we don't know. He did have a really good game against the Vikings last week still, but we'll just have to find out as the weeks go on. So I'm only going to keep him at number 9 for now, but that's a good spot to be. Number 8, I have the Denver Broncos. Shut down that Dallas Cowboys offense, even with Surtain out for a majority of the game. He's out for I think they put him on IR. That's really bad if you're the Broncos. They still have a lot of playmakers on defense, but he's arguably the best defender in the entire NFL, including pass rushers, just as a defender in general. It's, to most people, the best corner in the NFL, coming off of a Defensive Player of the Year campaign, and he's just an absolute shutdown corner. I don't care who you are or what defense you have. I don't care if you have Darrelle Revis lined up next to him. That's a blow. It is, and that really sucks for the Broncos. But luckily, they have a lot more pieces on their defense, and their defense still flies all around the field. Even at home, they shut down a really good Cowboys offense. Ended up making me take Dak Prescott out of my top 10 QBs. That's how good they played against Prescott. He ended up getting, he didn't get benched for his play, but they were out of the game for a while there, and he was benched by the early fourth quarter. That game wasn't close, and I thought the Broncos offense was humming too, especially against a really bad Cowboys defense, which says a lot as well, because if they would have went out there and their offense stunk against that Cowboys defense, that would have been a serious issue for the Broncos. Even if they would have won, it'd be like, guys, something's got to fix with this offense. But they did end up getting the win. They move up 2 spots to number 8. The Patriots moved down a spot to number 7. They were number 6, but a lot of these teams, again, coming off wins. I got a team above them in the next spot that I thought had a really good game there, and I do like their roster a little bit better. I can say, but the Patriots right now, Drake May might be number 1 in the MVP race, especially after Mahomes' performance last time. He did end up throwing 3 touchdowns still, but 2 interceptions. May end up moving him back. I don't know. May did have a pick against Cleveland, but he did also have 3 touchdowns. He throws the best deep ball in the league, undoubtedly. I mean, it's just incredible. The Patriots defense was locked down against Dylan Gabriel. Kind of worried me at first because he threw that touchdown on the opening drive. I'm like, dude, and I don't know what it is with the Patriots. They always give up a score on the opening drive, but then they just are like, all right, and then they go and turn on the gas or put their foot on the pedal, and that's about it there. So thought they had a really good game against Cleveland. this weekend and went in, kicked ass. They're on a 5-game win streak, and they're 6-2, leading the AFC East. Number 6, I have the Green Bay Packers. They move up a couple of spots, end up taking the Patriots spot. Jordan Love, what a hell of a game from Love. I thought he played a really good game against the Steelers. I thought the defense picked it up. It was a 10-point game, but it felt further than that, especially in the second half. They really pulled away. And for one of the first times this year, I mean, besides the first couple of weeks, for the last, I don't know how, 5 weeks or so, the Packers have kind of stooped down to whoever they're playing against. They can't, whether it's the Bengals, the Cardinals, teams that you look on paper are considerably worse than them. And they kind of stooped down to their level, but I feel like now they really turned it up against the Steelers, especially, as I mentioned, in the second half, and played a really good game. So they move up to 6. Number 5, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They stay where they're at. You know, the Saints are just a terrible team. I was saying a few weeks ago, like, hey, this Saints team is actually playing competitive football, but as the weeks go on, it just gets worse and worse, and they're starting to look like, I mean, they're like nearing Tennessee Titans territory. I mean, it's really bad. But Tampa, again, divisional games are always weird. You can never be 100% about divisional games. I don't care how bad a team is. You know, Tampa went in and handled business, and New Orleans was never in that game. They ended up actually making the Saints bench Spencer Rattler and put in Tyler Shough, who didn't really bring any signs of life at all. Just kind of went in there, digged and dunked, and that was about it. I don't even think they scored with Tyler Shough. So Tampa played a really good game. They move up to 6-2 as well. They're going to start getting guys back from injuries soon. I don't know when Godwin comes back. I know Evans is going to be out for a while, if not the whole season, but yeah, they just stay at 5. Number 4, I got the Rams. They moved down a spot, actually. They were on a bye, so not too much to say there, really. Coming off a really good win in London against the Jags. How nice is it to be able to have a game early in the morning, at least for everyone, early in the morning in London, and then have a bye week after that? This must be like the best feeling bye week ever for the Rams. So they stay at 4, not too much to say there. 3 of the Lions, again, on a bye week as well. They do end up dropping a spot. They were number 2, but they end up dropping a spot on a bye week. Much needed bye week for the Lions. A lot of injuries, especially at the cornerback position, by far where they're suffering the most injuries. And it's a good rest week for them to maybe hope to get at least a couple of guys back on that defensive side of the ball. It's just weird with the Lions because they suffer a lot of defensive injuries, like a ton of defensive injuries every year. I don't know what's up with that, but I think this was a much-needed bye week and a really good spot for the Lions to hopefully get some defensive help back this week. Again, I don't know who they play this upcoming week, but it'll be much needed for them. Number 2, I have the Chiefs coming off of a 28-7 win against the Commanders last night. I went on like a full 20-minute, probably more than 20-minute thing talking about the Chiefs and the Commanders game there. So not too much to say, but Chiefs are coming and they're rolling. I don't care if they don't have as good as a record as the Patriots, you know, the Lions, the Rams. Like, I don't know. I mean, whoever. I mean, I'm sure. What are the Chiefs have 3 losses? You know, it doesn't matter to me. They're Mahomes, Reed, Kelsey playing well with that offense around them. That team's just as dangerous as any other team in the league. But number 1, I got to keep the Colts there. They keep on trucking now. I do get the argument that the teams they beat are pretty horseshit. Like they're bad. But you have to give them credit where it's due. Not only are they beating these teams, they're beating the shit out of these teams. They look really good. They just do. Like, I feel like even regardless with now they do play the Chiefs in a few weeks, actually, which that is going to be a real game. That is going to be a serious game. A lot on the line there in terms of standings, seeding, everything there. That game's going to mean a lot. That's a real football game. Could even be a little bit of like a pregame to a playoff game. I mean, this could be a little bit of a preview. That's the word I was looking for. A preview to maybe an AFC championship, a divisional game, a wild card game. You never know. Especially if the Chiefs do it, or the Colts get the number 1 seed. Could end up being like a little bit of a championship preview. I guess we'll find out. But they steamrolled the Titans, 30-14. It wasn't competitive. No, Titans aren't a competitive team at all. But the Colts, one of the best offenses of all time so far to start off the season, I would have never figured that. I mean, as I mentioned, the media just dogged the Colts to start off the season, including myself. I dogged the Colts. I said, bro, this operation is over. You got Richardson, who you drafted 4th overall a couple of years ago on the bench, just sitting there kind of rotting away. He's injured now, but he's expected to come back. He had that weird thing with his eye or whatever it was in pregame. But I just, I'm just shocked. I really am. I'm really speechless of how good this Colts team has been to start off the season. And they stay at number 1, and they just keep moving. So that's my top 10 teams. Let's move into top 10 QBs here. Honorable mentions here: Dak Prescott and Justin Herbert. Herbert did come off a really good outing against the Vikings. It was hard for me not to put him in the list, but he's had a rough stretch there for a little bit. I mean, in fairness, Herbert, we know how good Herbert is. Herbert is definitely a top 10 QB, but it's hard. I mean, in terms of statistically this season, he's just on the edge to me right now. If you wanted to move him in, I'm never going to complain, but still. Darnold on a bye week at number 10. Do a Sam Darnold on a bye week. Not too much to say there. I thought he's really been balling out this season. Him and JSN are putting up like franchise-breaking numbers for the Seahawks, especially JSN. I mean, he's had consecutive 100-yard games, multiple consecutive 100-yard games. I think he's about to beat Steve Largent's record if he does it again this upcoming week, or he's going to tie it or he's going to break it. I forget which one it is, but I mean, those two are putting up really good numbers, and they're winning games, and they're winning really good games. And Darnold looks really good. How much of the Vikings how much do they hate watching Seahawks games? They probably don't, because it would piss them off so bad. So Darnold at 10 on a bye week. Hurts at number 9. I know he's come off of some of his best passing performances of his career the last couple of weeks, but these guys above him are putting up great numbers as well. I mean, especially passing. They're coming off winning weeks. Really good performances as well. I have to give them credit where it's due also. It's a hard list. We had 4 touchdowns, no picks the week before that in Minnesota. He had the best passing game probably of his career. So, I mean, it's just, Hurts has really been a great passer so far. So I have to give him credit where it's due. I mean, also, that Giants secondary was playing guys who have never played a snap before. So, I mean, I guess you can dock a little bit of points there, but again, these guys all coming off winning weeks. It's tough. So I'm going to keep Hurts at number 9. Number 8, I have Daniel Jones. Again, coming off a really good week. He has a really weak Titans defense, though. Again, he's running a pretty historical offense there. I think a lot of that is the play calling, and it definitely goes in Daniel Jones' favor. I'm not taking anything away from him, but, I mean, he's benefiting a lot from that play calling, which is really playing well into his play. So I'm coming off a really good week against the Titans. He is at number 8, though. Number 7, I got Jordan Love. He actually is new on the list. He was on the list for a while, but he's been off in the last couple of weeks, especially with not the best performances against some of the worst teams in the league, and some of these other guys playing really well. But he's back on the list at 7. That performance he had against Pittsburgh was pretty magical. He was just working them all over the field. Whether or not it was on the run, I really like his patience, especially in the pocket as well. How patient he is. He waits that next half a second for a guy to get open instead of rushing throws. He's just looked fantastic. And I've seen a statistic for the first 40 starts for Rodgers and Love. They're like identical. They're literally identical. Now, whether or not their careers pan out to be the same, we'll find out. I mean, that's a long shot for Jordan Love, but especially with, I mean, he sat for a while. So did Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers did sit for a while too, but even still, I mean, the pace he's on is pretty incredible. And what a pickup for Green Bay. Green Bay is just, you know how they say certain schools in college football are just QBU or wide receivers. You have wide receiver U, LSU, they call that. That's how I kind of feel about Green Bay. Like they're QBU in the NFL. Just constantly producing, from Favre, the Rodgers, the Love. That's pretty incredible. And he had a really, really one of the best games of his career against the Steelers on Sunday Night Football this weekend. Number 6, I have Jared Goff again on a bye week. He's just picking apart teams. I think he's playing really well. So, I mean, not too much to say there, especially on a bye week. I think the bye week's really going to help him. And again, he gets guys back that have been injured for most of the season, especially on defense, which is only going to help his play on offense as well. So, yeah, golf at number 6. Number 5, I am Drake May. Some people will probably have him a lot higher, and I'm a Patriots fan, but I have to give these guys up top respect where it's due as well. May is playing really, really great football. I mean, how good is that 2024 class looking? Caleb Williams has been still somewhat disappointing. I think in terms of what he was supposed to be, like Caleb has definitely not lived up to that. I know Bears fans and people, they're trying to stick up for the quarterback, and I get it. And he's not playing bad football, but in terms of the expectations of what Caleb was supposed to live up to, I think he's still pretty far from that, to be honest with you. He's been disappointing, and I mean, May now, 3rd pick, Jane Daniels, 2nd pick, Bo Nix playing great. I mean, that class is looking great. Drake May is progressing every week, and he's looking great. People may have him at number 1, number 2, number 3, especially because he might be leading in the MVP voting this morning. I guess I'll see. I'll probably check after I get done recording here in a few, but he's top 3 in there. So people may have him ranked as a top 3. I got a number 5. I think it would definitely help him if he had some better skill guys, but he's just, in terms of the dual threat ability he brings to that position, he's great. These guys are all great. Number 4, I got Baker staying where he's at. He didn't have any touchdowns or any picks. It's kind of a game where they drove. That defense played really good against the Saints and put him in good position to run the ball down in the red zone, and didn't have to as much of Baker, but Baker's having a great season as well. And he's been dealing with some injuries on offense, I think, including himself. It looks like he's played a little bit hurt, limps around a little bit, but even still, he's playing great. 3, Stafford on a bye week. He's having a sneakily good MVP season as well. What's he had? 17 touchdowns and 2 picks. That's with a bye week this week. So he's been great. He really has been. And his age ain't showing for Stafford. That's for sure. He looks like he could play another 2-3 years or so. So it's looking good for him. Allen at number 2. A really good performance against the Panthers. He made some history against the Panthers this week. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was it games with a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. I don't know if he also moved up in rushing touchdowns as well. I forget the exact statistic, but he did make some history against the Panthers this weekend, and he had a really good game. He was just carving up. Him and James Cook were just carving up that Panthers defense. Number 1, I had Patrick Mahomes. I mean, even though he had 2 picks last night, the 1 pick wasn't his fault off of the Kelsey, and Marshawn Lattimore made a great interception. I don't care who throws that ball. That's just a great play. Sometimes you just get better defense and offense, and that was way better defense. So you just got to tip your cap to him. But Mahomes probably still leading in MVP voting this morning. Even regardless, he just feels like the best QB in the league right now. Again, I mentioned the strides he's taken in terms of being just a game manager alone. He's more than a game manager, but just filling that role as well has been great. And I feel like this is one of the better years of Mahomes' career so far, which pretty undoubtedly to say he's the number 1 quarterback in the league right now. So I got him at number 1. That's my list for top 10 teams, QBs, and my reaction to the Commanders versus Chiefs. Again, I apologize for not posting a full reaction video to the Sunday slate of games. Again, just a really pretty chaotic day yesterday. Just couldn't end up getting anything out. And then the one thing I did end up getting out I ended up completely messing up my words and everything, and had to end up deleting that from my socials as well. So, you get days like that and you move on. It is what it is, man. I woke up this morning with a way better attitude, and and conquer this day today, and ended up getting some content out for you guys, of course. As I mentioned, I love doing this, always looking to push out content for you guys, and thank you so much for watching. If you like the video today, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you disagree with my list or agree, make sure to let me know in the comments. And yeah, man, I'll see you guys tomorrow on Why Not Wednesday. Take it easy.